We gonna go do a garden tour? Yeah. Coming too, Chief? Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to The Rustic Wife. I'm Alana. So I'm just heading down to let the chickens out, but I thought I would check out the garden and take a look at its progress, and it's doing really well. We planted fairly late this year, and even though we did, it looks great. So I thought I'd bring you along on a little bit of a tour. Hey, you two, stop it. Hey, hey! I swear they know when I'm filming. And Red knows too, because he cock-a-doodles every time I bring the camera out. So here we have the carrots. We planted these late because we want to harvest them late. So we've got one row of sugar snacks and one row of bolero, and they're both really good for storage. We just did one row of beets this year. I'm going to do some pickled beets. I'm not going to can them again. I didn't really like the taste of the pressure can beets. So I'm going to pickle some, and then we are going to try to store some in sand the same way we do with the carrots and see how they work out. And then we have my gladiolas. They look pretty good. We just have one row this year. Some of the corms didn't last in storage, but I knew that. I thought that they had been hit by a slight frost when I had them outside drying up. And then we have a row of leeks, and we'll continue to hill those as they grow. Then we have 3 rows of sweet onions. In a previous video, I had mentioned that they were Walla Walla, but they're actually candy. I forgot it was the Walla Walla seed we couldn't get this year. Usually we plant both, but we have 3 rows of candy sweet onions and a half a row of shallots, and up at the farther end there is a half a row of red onions. And then this row right here is some lettuce, and we just planted that. So we've been just planting it little bits so that we don't have a huge lettuce harvest on our hands all at once. That's usually what happens to us. So this year we were a bit smarter. And then we planted 5 rows of sweet corn. You can see these 2 were planted earlier, and then these ones were planted about a week and a half later. And this variety is called Luscious. It's very good. We've planted this for a few years now. Next we have 5 rows of potatoes. And we did a test again this year to see how the potatoes turned out using our own seed versus the seed we got at the feed store. These 2 rows are the seed that we saved from last year's potatoes, and these ones are the ones from the seed company. And you can see some spotty germination here. They're all coming up, but just not as uniform as these ones right here. So I think next year, if we have enough, we're just going to save our own seed. And then next we have a row of Brussels sprouts and a row of broccoli, and then a row of red and green cabbage alternated. And this sad little row here, can't really see it, but up to that stake, they're cucumbers, and beyond that is some lettuce. These cucumbers were planted late, as everything was in the garden, because usually we plant everything May 24th, which is our last frost date. But last year we got nailed with a late snow, May 26th, and we lost all of our tomato plants and peppers. So we thought we would plant the first week of June. After that, it started to rain, and we couldn't get everything in until June 24th. But you can see everything looks great, and we're going to get a harvest. But our cucumbers really got hit hard by cucumber beetle, and that's why they're not doing so well. But we tried neem oil. Neem oil did not work. I know you have to wait. It's not an on-contact thing, but as we waited, the cucumber beetles were still just annihilating them. So we've been putting diatomaceous earth on, and so far that's been helping a bit. Next we have 2 rows of beans. Last year we had 3. It was way too much. So we have 1 row right here of Valentino green beans, another half row up there, and then this row is Gold Mine yellow wax beans. And again here, another row of lettuce, but it's the mixed stuff. You can just see we've put a bit up there, and then we'll continue putting more down here as the season progresses. We also have a row of celery. Next, we have a row of peppers. We have a mixture in there. We've got jalapeno, and that variety is Jedi. We have green bell pepper, and they are called intruder. Next, we have a lunchbox pepper, and then I think a Hungarian hot wax pepper. So they're starting to come along a bit, but they need a lot of heat, and we really haven't had it lately. So hopefully we do get peppers. The next thing we have is our tomatoes. This year we scaled back. We did have 6 rows. We put in 4 rows, as you can see this year, and there's a mixture of tomatoes in here. There's purple Cherokee, we have Bonnie Best, Premio, some bunch of different cherry tomatoes, and what else do we have? Black Crim. I've not tried Black Crim before, so I'm excited to try those. And we also have the Cawker-the, which is an Italian oxheart tomato, and I really loved those last year. So we've got some new varieties and some ones that we have had before that we really like. So that is the garden, the main garden anyway, and it looks pretty good. And then this garden, last year it was sunflowers and sweet peas, and what else did I have in here? Some dahlias. This year I put the garlic, and I've got squash, 2 different kinds of squash. I've got a sweet dumpling, another acorn one called, I believe it's Teddy, and then right over here is the Dickinson pumpkin. That didn't have the best germination, but it's coming along. And again, these were nailed by cucumber beetle, so we've been having to watch them very closely. And then my garlic. And my garlic did have onion maggot. I dug a few bulbs up and they've been pretty good. So hopefully the onion maggot just affected the tops and not the bottom, but I'll find out when I harvest them shortly because they're starting to die back. And my little volunteer garden patch in here, this is where we put all the compost from the chicken house and the garden and yard scraps. So we've got a lot of sunflowers and calendula in here. And up here on this pile, we've got some beautiful potato plants. We also have some squash and pumpkin. We have some tomatoes in there somewhere. And I've got this one sunflower that just bloomed. So pretty. And the lavender looks beautiful. Next year I think we're going to put this whole garden in lavender, put another row in. This year we have some zinnias that we planted quite late, and they did take forever to germinate. So you can see that row right there, and in among the weeds you can see another row. So I have to get in here and weed these poor zinnias, otherwise we won't have any blooms. But if we do, it'll probably be in the fall because it's, like I said, we did plant them quite late. But the lavender's beautiful. And the currant bushes, they're all ready. I have to get down here and pick. Otherwise, I'm going to be competing with all the birds. Some nice ones in here. And this garden always looks like weeds, but they are perennials. We've got some blanket flower, some betony, Maltese cross, some more blanket flower. And then I've got some marigolds around the outside and some geraniums in there and lots of calendula from last year and some foxglove that have bloomed and died back. So this should be pretty once everything is up. And this garden is one of my favorites. I love the lavender and the hollyhocks behind this cute little birdhouse. Looks like a little postcard. So the roses this year I've not done that well. They would have, but they were attacked by sawflies. These ones right here, these ones are called cherry pie, and they grow quite quickly, more of a bush rose. This is too, but a different variety. This is a Brindabella Purple Prince, and I've had to cut a lot of the foliage away because of the sawfly damage. So that's what they do. Poor things. Last year at this time, they were just blooming like crazy. Anyway, and you can see we've got some lavender dotted in among them, and I think that looks pretty with the purple and pink contrast. So that concludes our little tour for today, and I'm going to keep doing them as the garden progresses, and you can have a look and see what's doing well and what's failing. Hopefully nothing, but bring you along for that. Thanks for joining me today. If you did like today's video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you again next time.